Awesome. So the theme of the night was design, and so I decided to stay on theme and talk about how we do design at Mintlify and how AI has impacted it. Before going into it, as a quick way of introductions, I'm Hahnbee. I'm a co-founder and CTO at Mintlify. We do developer documentation, both for developers and agents now. We help teams turn their APIs and product knowledge into beautiful interactive docs that are easy to use, maintain, and also optimize for agents. Some of our customers include Claude Code, OpenClaw, Lovable, yeah. But enough about Mintlify. Let's get into talking about how our team does design. So first off, this isn't the entire team. We're around like 60 people now, but my co-founder and I are both pretty design-centric, which I think makes sense given like the type of company we have. There's a lot of different little tiny details that go into making docs look really good and feel really good. And then our most tenured employee is actually James, who is our founding designer. And then James also brought his friend Ed onto our team, who does our brand marketing. And I feel like it's really necessary to mention the team because it is truly a team effort. And honestly, I feel like a lot of my presentation is just like showing you guys what the team does, not necessarily what I do. And so like I have to give credit where credit is due. So first off, the fundamentals. When designing a product or just building a product in general, you have to have, a product direction to start off with. And then I like to kind of think about the different user experiences and flows. And then we like to skip LoFi and mid-fi, and we go straight into high-fidelity Figma. We don't have time for that as a startup. And then after the Figma is finalized, we then code it and then ship it to production. And this should be ideally as quickly as possible. And honestly, I would say that the bulk of the time should honestly be spent on like the product and the UX flow, and everything else should be pretty fast as long as like this stuff is down and the fundamentals are down. And I think this is important because regardless of AI or not, like this is what it's gonna look like, and this is what we're working with, and like the tools we have at hand are just things that make us move faster, in my opinion. But if you lose sight of this, then everybody's coding and everybody's building things, but like, are they useful and like impactful and provide value to your customer? If the answer is no, like then there's really no point. You're just wasting tokens at that point, in my opinion. Okay, so pre-AI. We use Linear, and we have this design template where you kind of talk about like, the problem statement, the flow, and the design direction, and you add screenshots and everything. And this would roughly take me like 30 minutes to an hour to hand roll out myself. One of the examples, actually also one disclaimer I want to make is that I kind of found it difficult to really distinctively say what pre and post AI is because I feel like the tools have just been getting gradually better and better, but technically I put this in the pre-AI section, but technically this background is AI generated, but it just feels like the tools have gotten better. It's been like a year since we've had this landing page. So I just wanted to give this as an example. This is, the end result of what we made, and this is the behind the scenes of all the iterations and comments that went into it in order to get to this. And so there's a lot of Figmaing, a lot of comments being added to it, a lot of iterations to, get to a point that we're proud of. I also scrolled back on our Twitter because it's not just the product, it's not just the landing page. We also do care a lot about our brand design and how we present ourselves as a company. And so this is like some screenshots of like our media page in our X from like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 years ago. And all of these like assets were also like handmade at that point too. And it would probably take like a turnaround of a day or two if I make like a linear ticket, hey, like I want this like asset, like can you get it back to me? It would take like a day or two to get back. Now, my post-AI workflow. Now, I do not hand roll my design like linear ticket. I talk to the linear bot and I tell it to make me a ticket. And we now no longer use the template because engineering is shipping so fast that I don't think there's like time to kind of iron that out. So we really just focus on like the core things that need to be addressed, and this is how we build tickets now. And like a lot of times, like this is just my like personal chat with like the linear bot. And also, if you use linear and you haven't used their Slack bot, I'm like a huge fan of it. It's like the best like AI Slack bot in my opinion. Like it can do everything. But yeah, this is how I like kind of start with like a design ticket now. I just ask the linear bot to make it for me. Cannot say enough positive things about this linear bot. And then, this was also kind of mentioned in the previous talk. I actually think that the highest leverage thing, or like the part of our process that has accelerated the most is prototyping. Our tool of choice currently is Replit. These are all just like UIs that we made with Replit, and I kind of want to show you guys those specifically. So, if we're like iterating on an onboarding flow, instead of like just going straight to Figma or like writing things by hand, we can now like make these mock-ups that are all interactive, and they're not like actually functional, but it's a great way for us to have a conversation on what we expect to happen on these flows. And it's so easy to like spin up too. So like this is clearly like not like our design, but it's a great way for us to all come onto the same page about what's happening in between the stages. Yeah, these are all like different like onboarding flows that we've kind of created to discuss. And like I feel like I don't know, like I feel like this is like really, really amazing. Like for all the different iterations and the comments that need to be made, it's just so much easier to like iron out a flow with our team. Curious if anyone else also does this with their team and what tools they use. Yeah?
Well, I'm biased. I'm a founder of a design tool, but we use our own tool.
What's it
but
called?
We go crazy with the flows. We try everything.
What's the design tool called?
It's called Wonder.
Okay.
It's a design tool that connects to your code base.
Okay.
But we do, our designers, since our designers started doing prototyping and actually making PRs,
Yeah.
I feel like we've gone like 10 times better.
Yeah.
And our experience is so much nicer, like the UI.
Yeah. Like, I want to make a disclaimer that by no means do I think that the way that we do it is like the way that everyone should be doing it, especially because things are changing all the time. I feel like the most like debilitating like mindset is to have like, oh, I'm never, like I have my way, I'm not going to try anything new. And like, yeah, I think like we should always be trying new things. So I'll make sure to try that out as well. But yeah, let me go back to my slideshow. I guess there are still things that I do by hand, but I also kind of just want to emphasize like how cool it is, like how quickly we can do this. So let's say I I sat for a little bit like thinking about what I want to do for our graphic for our product hunt launch, and I draw it. And then the next day I wake up and boom, we have like high fidelity designs of my shitty drawings that Ed, our brand designer, does. And he leverages AI to do all of this. And he does it, he turns around this like within like 5 hours or something. And I think like, I feel so blessed to work with a team where I can do this essentially. And then, yeah, to talk more about the brand design side of things as well, we leverage AI to make all of our brand design assets. You can kind of tell we try our best to make it tasteful and like on brand as possible. Like all these like designs that have like a little landscape in them, all of the landscapes are pretty much AI generated, but although like we like layer like other elements in to make it look more real, I guess. We also have design engineers on our team. I will say, like, I feel like my co-founder Han and I were also both design engineers by trade, and we have been adding a ton of skills to our code base. so that all the AI tools that the engineers decide to use kind of follow them and like follow the design standard that and like the design toolkit that they should be using. We have like a ton of components that are legacy and we should probably delete, so we don't want like the AI to be using them. And so it's very easy to collectively steer all of our AIs by adding these skills. Highly recommend to do so if you're having trouble with people like developing too fast and not following your design system. Curious if anyone has tips and tricks on how to steer your AI properly for your front end. I feel like AI is the worst at front end, I would say. It still hasn't figured out front end. Anyone do the skills thing that we're doing as well? Okay, cool. Okay, I'll check that out. Cool. And so to be explicit about how our stack has changed, I would say pre-AI was pretty much just Figma and linear. Post-AI, we use Replit. We use the Figma MCP to implement things, although I personally haven't found a lot of success with it because I have to like tweak it a lot. Use the linear agent to make PRDs, Claude Code to implement things. I also really like using the Notion MCP with Claude Code to like just write things down. I also added Excalidraw and FigJam because I feel like things move so fast that I personally just like to do like flow diagrams for UI now, and I've kind of started doing that a lot for UX flows, and then adding skills to the code base. Here's one of my Excalidraws just going through our onboarding. I figured like this is like an easier way for me to communicate than like writing words nowadays. Claude design? I see. I'm already behind. No, I have not. I'll make sure to try it out. It's good? Okay. I'll try out Claude design. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of nods. For brand design assets or product or both? Okay. Yeah. So I asked Ed, our brand designer, what he uses, and he says he uses Figma Weave, Midjourney, Google AI Studio, and Claude. Maybe he uses Claude design. But yeah. I unfortunately don't have as many memes as the previous presentation, but I do have this one quote that I wanted to kind of bring it back to, is that you can outsource your thinking, but you can't outsource your understanding. And so, we have all these tools at hand to move so quickly, but once again, if you don't understand what you're building or why it's useful or what your users' problems are, I don't think it's useful at all. And so I think having that, deep thought and understanding of your customer and your pain point to start off with is super important. And then now with all your tools, you can, go off to the races and implement it really quickly, but make sure you have good product foundations to start off with, and then go to implement it. Because with everyone coding, I would say that focus and choosing the right things to implement is far more valuable in today's day and age. Thank you.